In this edition of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, it is part one of our conversation with Phil Simms, great friend of the podcast, just in videocast, just a tremendous football mind and just understands the game at so many levels. Great player with the New York Giants, Super Bowl MVP. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the quarterback play in the National Football League. He's got a lot of interesting things to say about a few quarterbacks in the National Football League and a lot of really, really positive things to say about the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. I think you're going to like what he has to say. Our 1 million YouTube view giveaways contest, courtesy First Star Logistics, continues with a special contest that runs until August 7th, 9 o'clock. So you have plenty of time, but don't procrastinate. Don't wait, because prizes include 2 tickets to a Cincinnati Reds game in the Boone County Bourbon Room with Dave Lapham. That would be me. 2 tickets to Cincinnati Reds game in the Boone County Bourbon Club with a celebrity to be determined later. And I know you're going to like that. It's big time. A signed Dave Lapham jersey, First Star Logistics custom backpack filled with apparel and gear, a $300 value, very nice prize, 2 $50 gas cards. Want the price of gas today? Nice. To enter, just go to the link and description below or scan the QR code. Certainly do appreciate you joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, emanating from our outstanding studios. And what a special guest we have today. A great friend of the show, the 7th pick of the draft in 1979 out of Morehead State. 15-year career with the Giants, 2-time Super Bowl champion, MVP of Super Bowl 21, that 39-20 victory over the Denver Broncos, where he went 22 for 25. That's right, 22 for 25, 88%, still a record, still a Super Bowl record. And I'll tell you, a quarterback rating 150.9, average 10.72 yards an attempt. Every time Phil Simms threw the football, the Giants had a first down. How about that noise?
Okay.
After going 14-2 during the regular season, 268 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. And obviously, they retired jersey number 11. Plus, you rushed 3 times for 25 yards in that Super Bowl. You did it all, my man. Welcome, Phil Simms.
Well, Dave, great to talk to you. Always good to see you. You're looking good, man. Look like you can go out there and pull around the right side and run over a friggin' little small linebacker or something.
Good paint job, Phil. Good paint job.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's good to be with you. And sorry to everybody if they're watching this. I just got off being outside and sweating. I just ran in here. And, of course, getting hooked up on a computer to talk to you
Yes.
is harder than playing against Lawrence Taylor. So, but we did it. So it's good to talk to you and everything. You know, of course, I'm honored that I was the MVP of the Super Bowl. But I was thinking about this last night. I don't know why. And I said, you know, I'm really proud of the fact that I was the MVP of the Pro Bowl in 1985. Mm-hmm. And this is because of this reason. The game was real and it was scary. You know what I mean? They were going to kill the quarterback. They didn't care. We could run a draw for 20. But and so all you can think of is you get in the huddle. All right, I'm gonna get rid of it really quick. Everybody just because it was a rough game. In fact, I was elected to the Pro Bowl and could have gone to about 4 of them, maybe 4 or 5, because I got a couple where the guys in front of me pulled out, and I didn't go. I don't want to do that. Yeah. It was just too rough. And of course, the game now is what it is.
It's totally different, isn't it? It's crazy.
I understand.
It's crazy. Yep. So tell us about the camp that you mentioned you just concluded. I know you and your son Matt, do a great job with young quarterbacks and skill players around the country. Tell us what you got going on, Phil.
Well, I just got back from Morehead State in Kentucky, not far from Cincinnati, of course. Yep. And you said something. I was the 7th pick of the draft. Who was the quarterback? Well, you know this. Who's the quarterback drafted before me?
Who
went to Cincinnati? The Rowan Samoan, Jack Thompson.
Really? He was drafted right ahead of you.
He was the 3rd pick of the draft that year.
Yeah, he was. You're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
but Samoan.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't even remember Jack ever really playing. I don't know how. When
not a whole lot. No, you guys went in opposite directions career-wise. There's no question about that.
But listen, I was on the field today. Today was just private instruction with a couple of young kids, first time out. So I inundated them with knowledge. They were really talented, all that. But I was down at Morehead State for 3 days. We had a great camp down there with the coaching staff, with their quarterbacks. Man, Morehead State, it's non-scholarship like Division FCS or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Boy, they got 3 quarterbacks down there. They can all hump it down the field. It was really impressive. But the camp was great down there. Of course, it was hotter than heck. The sun never went in and all that, but it was a really good time. And I love doing this. I do it all off season. And I don't know how many different kids we throw with, college, tons of great high school players. So it's just a lot of fun. And I love doing it. And I tell you this, Dave, I'm good at it too. I hate to even be like that, but I'm good at it.
Yeah.
If you want to throw the damn ball harder, more accurate, spin it and control it and throw like Patrick Mahomes and do all that, well, then we'll teach you. So it's just that simple. It's really a learned thing. And once you get the hang of it, hey, I could take you out on the field in 5 minutes, make you throw the ball harder. And
really?
Yeah. I mean, it's once you kind of, it's just
you just take into account body mechanics and apply what you know to those specific body mechanics. Everybody's got a little different body mechanic. How do you do it?
Well, everybody has a different body, but there's always, like anything, it's like a golf swing. There's a couple key elements to it that everybody has to have. And that's really the same with throwing too. There's very few exceptions. And I would say those exceptions, just say in pro football, are few and far between, if any. They all kind of do the same things. It just looks different because they're different sizes, different athletic ability, the bodies, all that stuff. But when it comes down to it, you show them a couple things and they all kind of have that in common. That's why pros can throw accurately, throw with power. And then really nowadays, it's hard to even think, to me, draft somebody high that can't make all these off balance throws and all that, because that's a huge part of the NFL. Throwing off your back foot, throwing on the run, scrambling, and you got to learn to do that, I think, to be really successful in the NFL now.
I know Joe Burrow and your son Chris Sims did a podcast together here fairly recently about the adjustments that Joe made, with his footwork, with his hips, even with the throwing motion a little bit, altering the actual motion, that really made a huge difference in terms of his arm strength.
I was that when his season was over after his rookie year, and I know he had the knee injury, but I just remember, Joe Burrow needs to get a little more hump on that ball, just a little, and I'm judging it this way, Dave, that if he wants to be a superstar, you got to be able to make those contested tight window throws. And I was really surprised early in the year. I went, oh my gosh, he's already changed who he is. First off, I got to I stood next to him at the AFC Championship game this year. And, he's a big man.
He is.
God almighty, big old ass on him and legs. And just looking at him and he's nimble and he doesn't, I even tell people this, they go, really? I go, man, he's big. Now I know I'm shrinking, but man, and I watched him warm up and I was like, wow, what a difference between last year, his first year and his second year. Just driving the ball, controlling it, changing speeds, whatever he needed to do, and really impress him. And he's on his way to, you need luck. You need to stay healthy, all those things. But he's going to be a superstar, and he definitely has Hall of Fame potential. There's no doubt.
He really does. And man, he's committed. There's no two ways about that.
Well, Dave, I always laugh about this. Quarterbacks. If you're not, I can't even imagine not being committed.
Right.
You throw the ball, it's and throwing, and I bet you Joe and all these, like Tom Brady, they love to go out and throw. Bruce Arians said it about Tom Brady. He goes, I've never been around somebody that likes to throw so much. and I go, well, it's like it's almost saying like to a basketball player, you shoot a lot during the offseason.
Right.
Well, yeah, if you want to get good at it, you got to do it. So Joe Burrow is definitely on that track.
So he was criticized a little bit for his deep ball, lack of deep ball accuracy. And last year, after making the adjustments and changes we're talking about. And like you said, Phil, a lot of it was during the course of rehab, not only working out to strengthen his body, but rehabbing injuries, to boot. And he was Pro Football Focus had him rated the #1 deep passer in the entire league last year, overall statistically. I mean, that's getting it done right there.
Well, it's a couple things. One, it's his talent. The scheme has something to do with it. And of course, he's not throwing to any average guys out there.
Very true.
It's a tremendous receiving core. But I watched every one of his games, I'm sure, during the year. And you're right. If there was any window, even if they were covered or whatever, he seemed to make the throws and put them on target down the field. I didn't know his stats or that he was rated all that. I just know he's really good at it. And it's not a lost skill in the NFL, but heaving the ball up in the air and dropping it in the so-called bucket or that little small window, that is a true art. And not a lot of quarterbacks in the league do it as much as they should, but he's got that. Great body control, uses his body to throw the ball a lot, and that really helps you, especially on deep balls.
And he was sacked 70 times last year, Phil.
Yeah.
51 in the regular season, 19 times in the playoffs, 9 times in one game in Tennessee, 6 times in the second half of the Super Bowl. So in 6 quarters of play, he was sacked 15 times. So he rewrites part of the Bengals record book while, suffering that fate of getting sacked 70. So how many more times was he hit? I mean, where is the guy's upside? They did get 3 offensive linemen in free agency that should make his life a little bit better. And now they'll be able to attack areas of the field they couldn't even think about attacking because they didn't have time and they were always trying to cover up weaknesses. And it could look a lot different for him. What do you think his upside is?
Well, his upside is, of course, I've already said it, Hall of Fame's his upside. And I think, too, when you talk about that, yes, the offensive line was definitely not the strength of the team, but the system and the quarterback and, too, Joe Burrow, we don't look at him as not Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but he's a guy that moves around a lot. He is really super slick in the pocket, moving, gets out of things. So when you're that way and you have that ability, Dave, you're going to take more sacks than you probably deserve. He's not a guy standing in the pocket. If it's not there, I'm going to get away and throw it away and all that. He's going to try to make a play by moving and making some of these throws that we talked about and all that. And so in one degree, all those sacks is a little misleading. Like the Tennessee game, he probably could have gotten rid of. I'm just going to throw a number out there. There was 9 sacks. He probably could have gotten rid of the football in 7 of them. But why take the danger? He understood the scope of the game. Low scoring. Don't throw it away and have something bad go. Don't try to make a throw under pressure. That's a great thing that he knows how to do. Stay with the game and play accordingly, but didn't take chances when he just took the sacks and waited for the next opportunity to come along. But, hey, solidifying that offensive line a little will change things for him for sure. It'll help change the offense.
Yeah.
Just think of that Super Bowl. I watched it on TV. I was home. I loved it. I had a group of football guys around me. Man, we were killing it. I mean, I wish we could have done a live broadcast because we were really doing it and laughing but whatever. But when I watched the game, I've watched it about 3 times. And I think you got to watch it a couple of times to realize what he was dealing with. And man, it was catch and get rid of it or die. Not die, I shouldn't say that. Or just get run over.
No doubt.
So he did a tremendous job in that game. Most of the times he made mostly good reads. Him and Matt Stafford both did really good jobs of being tough, hanging in there, and playing the game the right way to give their team the best chance to win. And it was just a little too overwhelming for the Bengals, I think. Finally, that offensive line late in the game got exposed a little bit, and it was probably the difference in the game for sure.
You just mentioned the word tough, and I asked Joe Burrow what his definition of tough was here in the offseason at one of the OTA press conferences. And you, my man, tough, physically and mentally. I think Joe Burrow has that mental and physical toughness. Those intangibles are priceless. I mean, how do you rate him? Do you rate him in upper tier in terms of those aspects?
Absolutely. He's different. I was tough to the border of being stupid. And And no, I'm not even being, self-effacing. It's just the truth. But I was taught from high school, college, and with Bill Parcells, stand in there. What about? Are you scared? All that stuff. You're going to check it down to the back when you. I heard it, but he's doing it differently. Even though he had all the sacks, there were a couple like, hold your eyes when you watched him get sacked a couple times in a year.
Right.
But overall, he didn't take those big crushing shots where, he's driven into the ground like the old guys had to worry about sometimes.
Right.
So, but being tough, I can't say the names. I had a head coach say to me about a week ago, man, if I was getting a fight, this guy, he would be the last guy to ever take with him into that fight. And I was talking about a quarterback. And that's a terrible label to have, especially with the head coach. So you want your quarterback to have some toughness physically and mentally. And you want him that. What I love about Joe Burrow, too, his personality. And, players gravitate towards him. Yep. And I think you and I talked about this last year, that, the Bengals changed their roster. The free agents, man, just the Reds should take something from them. They were standing up there. Here comes a free agent. Smack it out of the park. Home run. I mean, they just crushed the free agent market. They crushed the draft. And it's just another reason why they had such a tremendous year and hung in there. But, so we'll see where it goes this year. I almost forgot what I was talking about. I got so many thoughts in my head there. But it's going to be an exciting year, and their competition is going to be tough. That's for sure.
Yeah, the AFC is stacked. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like it. It's back to the 80s with the NFC, where the NFC was winning all the Super Bowls.
Yep.
And not only were they winning them, they were blowing teams out.
Yep.
And I'm not saying there's that discrepancy now, because that's hard to do in the NFL. But the AFC is absolutely loaded. That's for sure.
When I look at you, I hearken back to 1985, Cincinnati playing the Giants at Riverfront Stadium. And a guy named Phil Simms, who played his high school football at Louisville and then went to Morehead State in Kentucky, throws for 513 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals, still a New York Giants record. What was it like that day?
I just remember it was a good old Cincinnati, Ohio Valley day. Hot, sticky, and oh my gosh. And the Bengals, they caught us off guard. They blitzed like they'd never blitzed in their life. I mean, they were blitzing us, and so I took, we had a great day throwing the ball, but I did throw an interception, I think, for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. We fumbled on the 1 yard, all the stories you hear. And Boomer Esiason likes to, chirp if they beat us that day. I go, yeah, Boomer, I'll do for 513, so I don't care. It's about winning. I said, yeah, I know, but also sometimes you just got to go ahead and stack the board there a little. So we threw for 513. I don't want to hear anything else. But
it was low scoring, wasn't it, like 13-10 or something?
No, we scored, I think, on the last play of the game too, to make it look better.
Okay,
remember, but it was kind of the Bengals day, and we were a funny team. Hell, we could have won 15 games that year. I don't know what our final record was, but we just found ways to lose, and that was one of those days too.
So you talk about the season that you had, culminating in the Super Bowl MVP, 22 of 25. It's just remarkable. Joe Burrow has an incredible season, takes the Bengals to the cusp of a Super Bowl, and takes them to the AFC Championship, can't quite win the Super Bowl. How do you handle that success? A lot of times it's tougher for players to handle success than it is to handle failure, because the expectations of that follow handling success can be very, very pressure filled. How did you handle that success, Phil?
Well, I think when you're not having success, your motivation is always there every day. And I think the big thing with success, it depends. I don't want to say nobody's going to be satisfied, but it's just, now let's dig in there and work harder. And, unfortunately we won that first Super Bowl. It was strike year the next year. So the team fell apart, and it was really sad that we didn't get a chance to have one more run at it, but we didn't have that chance. So, Dave, I think all players now, there's just so much more to the game, as more for the players, more ways to take care of all the thing. How many times did you go to the Bengals and all the years and practice where they fed you lunch? Yeah, that's what I thought. A big
Goose
fat
eggs,
zero.
squadouche.
Well, same with me. No
Right.
massages, no this, no
Right.
extra stuff, no meals ever in 15 years,
No.
and all that. So it was kind of on your own. It was a different world, but handling success, man, I think this too. When you have success, you don't want it to end, and I think that's a great motivating factor too.
It's interesting. Joe Burrow and you have a lot of similar qualities, and one of them is you guys love to work out. I mean, Joe has really redone his body, and I know
Yeah.
workouts, the strength and the physicality of all of that was important to you, and it's important to Joe. How big a deal is that, Phil?
Well, I did it for trying to think it was going to help me withstand the punishment.
Yeah,
And I think he's doing it more. Yeah, it's a little bit of that and to protect your body, but it's really, he's so athletic. And, he is really, really sneaky slick. I mean, man, he gets out of a lot of jams moving around. And, it's just, look, he was a great basketball player.
yeah,
And yeah, I remember, and I think I've told you this, after his junior year, I was really high on him at LSU. I called him. I called his father, had a conversation with him.
hmm,
And because I wanted to work with Joe, when he was coming out for the draft. And after about 3 games, he lit it up. And he had that great comeback or that victory against the Texans. I mean, University of Texas.
yeah,
And I said, oh, well, I guess I'll never hear from them because he was turning into a superstar. And, that changes everything. Who's going to be
sure.
around you, what agency, all that stuff, whatever. And, but I'm not saying I saw him being the guy that he is now, but I really liked him when I studied his junior film at LSU. And everybody, I love that. Oh, well, they say all this crap. No, it was there. But, if you don't get the basketball, if nobody throws you the basketball, you can't score points.
Right.
So you got to be able to shoot. And they weren't letting him shoot at LSU. And when they did that senior year, everything just blossomed and went through the roof. Good offensive system for college football. Of course, good players around him, but they maximized it all. And just they took it to exactly as far as it could go, as high as it could go. And it was one of the greatest years I've ever seen a quarterback have in college football.
When you were on the run that you were on, playing at the peak of your career, did you change anything in the off season, or did you say, look, I've got these protocols, I've got a process that works for me, I'm doing this bad boy over and over and over again every off season?
Man, I was neurotic. There's no other way. I still am. I mean, I got to watch every game every week of the NFL season, or I feel like I don't know nothing. And so it's terrible, but I do love it too. I love sitting down there after practice and working out and then going in the back room, maybe with one other person who's hanging around with me and just relax and watch games tape and talk about stuff. And man, it was just fun. It was never work. I was never in a hurry to leave the complex. So, but back when I was under Bill Parcells for 8 years, when the offseason started, Dave, we had an offseason program. So if you came, they gave you a little money. And we worked out 4 days a week. The first Monday of every March, 4 days a week through the whole offseason. And usually if the training camp was starting on a Wednesday, then our last workout would be like Sunday or Monday. And we'd get a couple days off before training camp. Because that was Bill. He goes, by God, he wanted a lot of work, running, lifting, and all that stuff. And we'll teach you in training camp. So he hated mini camps, all that stuff. Oh, we're going to go out there in underwear and lob it around. Oh boy, he was great. But that off-season program, he really loved that. And he wouldn't let coaches come down and bother us while we were doing anything. And they weren't allowed to take us in rooms and have meetings or anything. He just wanted us to do our thing. We would throw, catch, do all that too. But it was tremendous. And that's why we had that run with a lot of players who never got hurt, the same starting offensive line for like 3 or 4 years in a row.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
We had years where our offensive line took every snap. Maybe they came out in the last series or things like that. But that was just one of the keys. And, of course, having Bill Parcells coach you. And then we had this other guy, Lawrence Taylor. He was pretty good too.
He wasn't bad, was he?
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah, he wasn't bad at all. Of all
At
the
First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Brakes? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right. You know,
Gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.